Have you ever wanted to create a display image just like this one for your artwork? In this video, I'm going to show you how to do that on Procreate. You could also use Photoshop if you like, they're kind of interchangeable, but let's get into it. I have an image of my framed artwork in Procreate. I'm going to zoom in here, and then we're going to go into layers. We're going to duplicate that layer, and then we're going to select Alpha Lock. This is going to help us create a shadow layer. So then we're going to come into black in our color wheel, and then we're going to select fill layer. Now that the top layer is completely black, we're going to move it under the image layer. Now I'm going to use my move tool to move it slightly down and to the right, and this is going to be my shadow. And now that I have that set in place, I'm going to go into the effects toolbar, and I'm going to select Gaussian blur. This is going to allow me to soften up the edges of the shadow. Now, I want you to be sure to deselect the alpha lock option in your layers. This is going to allow you to soften up the edges. Otherwise, they're just going to remain sharp. So that's something I didn't catch before when I was working on this. But I'm now making the edges of this a lot more feathered, softening them up. And now I'm adjusting where the shadow is a little bit, just to my liking, just to make it look like it is being cast on whatever's behind the painting. And now I'm going to go into my shadow layer, and I'm going to bring down the opacity of the shadow a little bit. This is just going to make it look a little bit more realistic in our final image. And now that I have that done, I'm going to go into my browser, and I'm going to go to a website called Pexels to get a public domain image. These are images that you can download freely to your computer or tablet or whatever you're using to do this. I'm going to look up pictures of walls. Just like in a living room or whatever you have, so that way you could see what your artwork would look like on an actual wall. And I initially looked up pictures of exposed brick, and I wasn't really liking how that looked, so I ended up going with a living room wall. So I typed that into the search bar, and I came up with a couple of interesting looking files. I really liked this beige wall with the little ceramic in front of it, so I ended up picking that file because there was a lot of space above it. There wasn't anything that I was going to have to get rid of in Procreate, so I ended up going with this image. So I click on it, I click free download, and this allows me to get this image, and then we're going to bring it into Procreate. Right, so now we're getting back into Procreate with this, and then under the shadow layer, I'm going to add an image. So I go into my files, find the image I just downloaded, and then I'm going to bring it into Procreate. And here we got it in the canvas. Now I'm just going to resize everything. You're going to want to make sure that you select the image layer and the shadow layer both when you're trying to resize and fit this with the background. So I go into my layers, select both layers. Then I'm going to be able to move these up, and I want to make sure I have uniform for when I'm resizing this so that I don't change any of the dimensions of the shadow and the image. And I'm going to use my guidelines that I have here to help center this into the middle of the image. And then a last little touch up I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my shadow layer, press alpha lock, and then I'm going to use my eyedrop tool to find the darkest shadow in the actual background image. And I'm going to fill the shadow layer with this color the same way I did before. I'm going to go into my layers, and I'm going to select fill layer. This is going to make the shadow underneath your artwork fit in with the rest of the background, and it's just going to make it look that much nicer. Now, you'd think I'd be done, but I noticed something here that I didn't notice before. I need my shadow to be on the left side of my artwork like it is on the left side of everything else in the background. So now I'm just going to be doing a little bit of nitpicky things. I want to turn off the alpha lock layer, and then I'm just going to mess with the Gaussian blur level a little bit more to help soften the shadows again to make them look more uniform with the rest of the piece. So we're getting those a little bit softer now. And that is how you add a background and shadow to an image for a store or a post or whatever you want to do. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe so that you never miss a video.